Hello, and welcome to day 15 of the Holistic Fast. Today we're going to introduce a couple of more principles, one being uncreation, and on the post today you can see that link. So click on that and it goes a little bit deeper into the uncreation process. That's really what we're doing here. We're letting go. During the the entire Holistic Fast, we are learning and practicing the process of letting go and getting really good at it as we go. So one of the things I wanted to add to today's, I didn't put it on the post, but how important it is to discipline the physical body in order to access the emotional body. So I'm going to read a little bit from How We Heal, what Doug Morrison has to say on discipline the body. The physical body must be disciplined so that the emotional body might be accessed. With some exceptions, the physical body should be kept completely still. And I will add the exceptions to that is involuntary movement. Total mastery of this discipline may require much time, effort, and experience. As long as our physical body is undisciplined, we may not be capable of fully accessing the emotional body. However, it is not merely the stillness of the body that is important, but rather that we are holding our body still. Were mere stillness the only significant factor, we could simply be strapped to the table with appropriate restraints. By compelling the physical body to obey and be still, we begin to master it. In so doing, we begin to access the emotional body, which occurs from the bottom up with respect to the scale of emotions. Yesterday, on day 14, we talked again about the scale of emotions. Beginning with unconsciousness first. What happens to most people when they hold perfectly still? They get numb and tired and their limbs fall asleep. This is the unconsciousness coming out of the tissues. Most people move whenever this happens. You'll see people on the table and they'll just do like a little twitch or, just kind of move a little bit. And that's disrupting the electrical flow that we want to embody, encapsulate in like a pressure cooker, and then that allows us then to go into the emotional body. By not moving, we move deeper into the unconsciousness at first, but eventually we move through it and numbness disappears as the unconsciousness is experienced lovingly and willingly. That's how everything is released. So as long as we are lovingly and willingly enduring, we are transmuting just by that simple act of being willing. All this is done without moving. Dr. Ray, and that's Dr. John Whitman Ray, who was the founder of body electronics, has phrased it thus: control of the physical body must come before control of the emotional body. But there are a few exceptions to this rule of keeping the body still. Holding the body still in the point holding table allows the various resistances locked within to be accessed and eventually transmuted. And typically, without this discipline, very poor results will be forthcoming. Yet there is another side of this principle which applies in some cases. Deep traumas locked within the body may begin to surface initially as involuntary movements during point holding, perhaps quite subtle ones at first. However, in almost all cases, the initial physical stillness plays a huge role in bringing these involuntary motions to the surface. There appears to be an appropriate time to actually encourage such involuntary movements. Actually, in my 20 years of teaching body electronics, I have not seen, I can count on one hand how many times I've actually seen how that would be appropriate to encourage involuntary movement. When to allow movement and when to keep still may be tricky to understand and put into practice. For many, it may be best to simply continue to work on mastery of the discipline of stillness. But sometimes it is quite productive to shift gears briefly in order to access the trauma. A personal example might help. In one point holding session, my arms and legs began to move involuntarily. When I allowed the movement to come out and intensify, the facilitator asked me what I felt. I quickly responded, like I'm drowning. And almost instantly, I became aware of a specific event, being thrown off a high diving board into a pond at age 6 during swimming class. The involuntary movements were me frantically trying to dog paddle back to the dock. Once the resistance was sufficiently identified, I was able to return to keeping still. That's a good example. I'm going to jump forward here too, just to another little bit called maintain a state of enthusiasm. The emotional body is also stilled by experiencing each emotion with enthusiasm in a controlled fashion so that the mental body might eventually be entered into. As the emotional body is accessed from the result of physical discipline, we will move up the scale of emotions from unconsciousness to apathy, to grief, to fear, to anger, to pain, and finally to enthusiasm. Each emotion is fully experienced in itself with an attitude of enthusiasm. I'll add here, even even being willing to experience the emotion, that is a form of enthusiasm. Like that is like an entrance into enthusiasm. While processing each emotion, we also go through 7 levels of emotion. Okay, we talked about that already. Okay, the purpose of not to gloss over any emotion, but rather transmute it. This transmutation cannot take place without the initial admission that the emotion is there in the first place. Dr. Ray has phrased it thus: control of the emotional body must come before the control of the mental body. So that's, that's just a confirmation in what we've been talking about earlier in the fast, where we start in the physical level, we master those physical principles, at least to some degree, and then we access the emotional body. Eventually, in the next few days, we'll start looking at more about the mental body and how we're accessing that. But I can't overstate the importance of transmuting what comes up emotionally. It's extremely important. If we're rushing forward into the mental body, if we're trying to get to the mental body before we're really through the emotional process that allows that to naturally open, allows the mental body to naturally open, then we're literally going to be spinning our wheels, and we'll end up back in the emotional body anyway. So just be aware that the thorough transmutation of the emotional body is paramount here. So don't rush. Don't be in a hurry to get to dualities or to find dualities. Just really concentrate on the emotion. All of us have so much emotion that has been suppressed and trapped, perhaps for eons of time, and it's really important for our emotional body to be recognized, to be accessed, to be transmuted, and emotion to be thoroughly released. So, okay, I'll leave it there for now, and tomorrow we will. I don't know what topic we're going into tomorrow. I just look at what I'm doing today, and so I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but it will be evolutionarily. Thank you.